I'm gonna turn off the equipment
And you start from the zero.
beginning.
Yeah.
As all the other equipments, you have never to turn off all the equipment. You just have to log off and to let it like that. So you come here to FS 3100, not G. The first thing to do is to connect this computer to the server. If you see this gray ball, it has to be green. When it's gray, it's disconnected. In order to connect, you come here, user, and then here,
Connect. Okay.
the highlight, you click, connect. So it will,
It's not connected.
but it will be connected. And then to start, you have to come here to new. This is your sample list. So it's here. You're gonna tell him the equipment. What is your sequence of samples? What you want it to do? So here, if you put the first one, you click the right click here. You have open, add rinse, add washing, and remove. So if you want to have a rinse, you just click here. Just have to put an empty glass and then start. It's gonna to do a rinse.
Okay.
If you want to erase that, right click and remove. Before starting your analysis, you have to do at least 3 rinses, because I don't know if you saw earlier, there was a dirty water. I don't know if you remarked that when I was here talking to you.
Okay.
So because I just started, so I have to do at least 3 rinses just to clean the equipment, because sometimes there's some dust inside, so you have to rinse just to not contaminate your analysis. So once you do the 3 rinses, you can start. So you come here, right click, add. Oh yeah, before, all of us, we have a file here. Mine is number 5, but I don't think you have one. You can choose, for example, 10. So far we have 7. Okay, so you can choose from 8 to 30.
So it should be based on numbers?
No, does not matter.
Because in
Just
this case,
matter to you to recognize and how are you going to find your files, your results. So choose a number from 8 to 30, 20 or 21.
Right. Yeah, 8.
8, okay. So you're gonna be 8. So you come here, add. So here you have to change. Here you name your sample as preferred.
Okay.
If you enter a character it does not accept, it's gonna tell you. So it does not accept neither of these. You just name your sample. Here's the date and the time. It's always updated. And here are you going to analyze the coarseness, or just the length and the width and the weight distribution of your samples. Because if you want to have the coarseness, you have to enter the weight of your sample. But it's not only the dry weight. You have to put the dry weight. You weight that, for example, 0.5 grams, and then you dilute that. You take this. You take, for example, 23 milliliters, and then you do the calculus to know how many grams you have in 23 milliliters. You understand? For example, you don't know how many milliliters you put here in the water, but you have that you put 0.5 grams.
Okay.
So 0.5 grams, how many samples you will have in 23 milliliters. So
okay, you're
this
talking
is the
about
weight that you enter here.
Okay. So you're talking about the volume, yeah?
Yeah.
So we know the weight, and you want me to measure the volume also. This is what you want to say?
Yes.
And you use this to measure volume?
Yes.
Volume of your samples?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you put 0.5 grams, you diluate that. You just have to know how many grams of these 0.5 you got in 23 or 10 milliliters, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put that, you fill with tap water. You don't have to use distillated water.
Okay.
This equipment accepts
Tap water.
tap water. And then you enter this weight, the weight that you got with your, I don't know the name of that set.
Okay, okay.
But if you're not interested at analyzing the coarseness, you don't have to do that. You just put 0.
And what do you mean by coarseness?
Coarseness is the weight of the sample divided by its length. Just to know how is the distribution of the weight of your fibers or sample along his length. For example, you have the fiber, sometimes it's thin in the extremities and then it's more thick in the middle, just to know what is this ratio.
Okay.
Because here you got coarseness, milligrams per milliliters. It's missing an L.
Alright.
So here you don't have to put anything with species reference. Just if you have the file, but you don't have the file, you don't care about that. And here, end solution, dilution, is when you put, for example, can you see this line? The equipment recognize this line as the end of your sample.
Okay.
So if you put just that with your sample, like that, if you let it, your equipment is going to fool your glass.
Okay.
But if you don't care, if you just want to analyze this much of water, you just do that, and it's going to analyze just that. It's not going to dilute more.
Okay.
But I recommend you to do that.
Alright.
Because if you let your solution too much concentrate, the equipment will stop. Have you ever used the FQA?
No.
Okay. Because you have to pay attention to the speed, species per second. If your solution is too much concentrated, the equipment will stop because the frequency, how many fibers it analyzes per second. If this frequency is higher or greater than 80, it stops. So you have to be 40, 50, something like that. So just pay attention. You put water and dilute. What I do, I look against the light just to see how many fibers approximately. Because with the eye we cannot count.
Okay.
Don't let too much concentrated. So once you enter, for example, test 8, your deposit files, just add. For example, your first is always this one under this thing.
Under
and the second,
Okay.
3, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. What I advise you, you can analyze, for example, wood bark at first. You put all your repetitions, for example, open if you want to change. Wood bark number 1, for example. As you're going to analyze the same type of sample, you don't have to do a rinse after each analysis. For example, fiber 3, and then after the third of wood bark, if you're going to analyze wood species, I recommend you to do a rinse, just in manner to
wash everything.
To take off all the wood bark fibers,
Okay.
and just to analyze wood species fibers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 2 or 3 is your advice, at least 2, just in manner to really clean the equipment and to really have your results clean.
So this machine doesn't need to fill with water. It's
No.
going automatically.
Come here. This is the air
Okay.
pressure, and this is the water.
Mhm.
It takes the water and then it eliminates the water.
Okay, so it's
So it's
automatic.
connected to the pipes. So
Okay.
it's automatic.
Alright.
Because of that, you can use the tap water because it has a filter there. You use just the water, not the impurities. And what else? So you just run, start. If sometimes your frequency is too high, it's gonna stop, as I told you, and then an error message will appear, and just have to click on OK. You restart the disk.
Okay. So let's do a test.
Okay. I'm gonna use a sample of mine.
Okay.
Do you have to grind your samples, or they are already grinded?
Already grind.
Okay, so because mine is like that, so I cannot analyze these pieces. Standard pieces. Just this is enough. There's a lot of fibers here. I fill with tap water. I recommend you to grind, if you're not going to grind, at the 2 power, because it's very powerful, so I don't want to cut my fibers in the middle, just to separate them.
Okay.
If I go too high, the power is going to really ground my sample,
Okay.
like a milkshake, so I don't want that.
Okay.
For example, if you look against the light, and you see the fibers.
Yeah.
So if I put this solution completed, the equipment is
Will
going to
stop,
stop
yeah,
because
okay.
it's too concentrated.
Yeah.
What I do, I always look just in manner to avoid the big pieces. Let me show you one. Can you see there are big pieces? It's not recommended to put that. I can feel or just put that.
Okay.
I prefer to feel like that.
Alright.
You enter. Let me see. What is this one? So my deposit file is number 5. I enter my name, my sample. So everything's okay. Add and then start. So first, as I told you, it's going to fill until it reaches this line, and then it's gonna start analyzing.
So, since my samples are crushed and they are fine, so how many grams I should put? Because your sample is something like a piece, but mine is not a piece. In fact, it's kind of powder. So, what to do with that? Even I don't know if I put some of them the mixture, it's going to separate like what did to your samples.
Yes, you can do, and you can use the power one, the first. You know, it's low. Just meant to separate.
Yeah, you think it's going to separate as what you
Yes.
did? Okay.
I think.
Because as I said, yours is like a piece, but mine is very fine.
It's smaller than mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I should bring a little to just try to see if it's going.
Or
to
you can
separate.
also put a little bit with water and then you just stir like that. Or you just can have to use this. But it's better to use that.
Yeah.
You will avoid big pieces of agglomerated.
And how long does it take to be
depends.
formed? Okay.
It depends. Manage to finish one full glass. It's about 10 and 15 minutes.
Okay.
But what I do, according to the research that I found, it's recommended to analyze between 4,000 and 5,000 fibers. So once I get 5,000 fibers measured, I stop. Because I don't want to spend all my day with a single sample. So it depends what you want. You can let the equipment finishes all the glass, or you just can stop. For example, if you want, I don't know, I just want 1,500 fibers or pieces measured. So you come here. Once it reaches the one, voila, just stop.
Okay. So I'm going to bring a little to do
Okay.
a mixture and see.
Yeah, like that.